one thing that I really love is a person that is able to understand and read the room, whether it's, in a job, a teacher, a boss, a professor, a parent, any, figure in life that is, has authority or plays an influential role over different people to look at and look at other people in the mirror and basically say, okay, let's not do it my way. Let's work from their point of view. And what he did, Coach Knowles came in. He understood that he has a very complex defense. Everyone's talked about his concepts, his schemes, everything that he wants done. His terminology is very difficult for some people to understand. For many people to understand, especially if they don't play football. You can only imagine, student athletes dealing with everything that they deal with on a day-to-day basis, trying to really learn it. But he said that, he went in with that mindset in an interview, and he basically said that what he did was give them bits and pieces, small parts at a time. He didn't give it to them all at once. He gave them a little bit by a little bit, and then while he was doing that, he said that, wow, a lot of these Ohio State, defensive players are really smart. They're really picking up on his terminology, what he wants done. He was picking on it very quick, and he's like, okay, he's assessed that, and he's saying they're picking up on it very quick, and he's basically saying, okay, now I can give them more and more and more. He said, I thought we had a bunch of guys who learned at a rapid pace. So he's basically talking about the defensive identity that he wants from the team, and he's saying they got it done at a rapid pace. He also said it can be overwhelming in the beginning because it looks like it's a lot, but when you get the nuts and bolts of it, we're able to follow along at a rapid pace. So he's, again, saying, like, I understand this and this, but the players are really picking up on it. And basically from spring ball on, or since he's gotten to Columbus, the rate of understanding has been something that he's surprised at, and he believes that the defense now is ahead of schedule in terms of what he had originally in mind. He had a certain time frame that he wanted to get things done, but based on the performances by not just one or two players, but a large chunk of defensive players, whether they first team or first stringers or second stringers, they're picking it up. So now he believes that defensively they're ahead of schedule. And when you have an Ohio State defense that's ahead of schedule in May, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ahead of where he wants to be, that's only going to be bode well for our defense to getting better and really having much more of familiarity is going to be huge. And so by the time they face the Notre Dame game, they're going to be ahead of schedule. So instead of, by the time you get to maybe Arkansas State or Toledo being up to what the defense to his standards, we're thinking now by the Notre Dame game they should be a lot more prepared versus maybe it's going to be a couple games in Arkansas State, Toledo, where you really build that defensive identity. Now by the time they face Notre Dame, who's they're going to be their first opponent, they're going to be a lot better. Now this is going to be a lot better than what it was last year when we went on the road, had to face Minnesota on the road, tough environment, Thursday night game. Usually games are on Saturday, Minnesota, and then you come back and face Oregon. That maybe would have been a little bit different this year. But for them to just have Notre Dame and they're ahead of schedule is a lot better. And I do feel comfortable. Even if they do struggle defensively, they have Toledo and Arkansas State to get together. But based on what he's saying, they're ahead of schedule. And that schedule is probably going to meet that Notre Dame game. So they're just going to continue to build. And it's only May. It is only May. So there's no rush. There's a lot of talk. Gene Smith, the athletic director, he said the Notre Dame game is lost cause. Like it's basically already sold out. That game is done and gone with. Everyone, that's a lot. That's been a game that everyone's talking about. They understand what it is. Coach Day's talked about the Notre Dame game. It seems that the defense is going to be ready for the Notre Dame game. I didn't know. I knew the defense was going to be better, but if they're ready for the Notre Dame game, and they have it together, it's going to be problems for them. It's going to be problems for the Fighting Irish.